Hi, it's Colleen Schmidt, once again, astrologer at large. Anyway, my new resolution for this year is to include weekly video clips as well as a weekly article, and more often than not, the article and the clip will be based on the same thing. So the reason I'm doing this is because I really want to get the asteroids out there. But with that said, this first video is not going to be on the asteroids. I actually, when I looked at what was going on right now, and I wanted to work with the new moon chart of January 5th, 2019. So since we're 2 days prior to that, I thought that was a really good place to start. Also being a new moon chart, it's going to have a big effect on people in terms of over a period of time, because it is the new moon chart. So the first new moon of the new year, actually. And I believe it's a solar eclipse. Ta-da! So in any event, I thought it would more appropriate look at something that jumped out at me, which in this case was the midpoint. So we're actually going to start with planets for this particular video clip. And I want to talk a little bit about the midpoints as a tool used in astrology for prediction, for getting to know a person better. If you're looking at a natal chart, there's just a lot of information that can be gleaned through the midpoints. And mathematically is when you put the two midpoints together, cut them in half, and that's where they are. It's really easy for us to visualize this on a dial. And my recommendation would be that if you were trying to view these points, you'd want to do it on a dial. For more information on the dial, there is a video clip and an article on the website. They're the same thing with the Aries point. I like working with the Aries point, particularly in the new moon, because I know it affects more people, and it's a really good way to study what's going on and the planetary effect of that, whether it be on a subtle level or something more dynamic. Okay, I try to go for things that are a little bit more dynamic because, again, I'm using this whole venue as a learning opportunity. Okay, so we're looking at January 5th, 2019, and we're looking at a 15-degree Capricorn new moon, okay? So in and of itself, it's not the Aries point. The Aries point, and I'm just going to go through it really briefly, but it's also on the website should you have questions. But the Aries point is at any point of 0 cardinal or 2230 cardinal. And of course, the cardinal signs being Capricorn, Cancer, Libra, and Aries, okay? Now, it also applies to 15-degree of fixed, so that's your Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, and Scorpio. So anything around 15 degrees of the fixed is part of the Aries point, as is anything that is 7 degrees, 30 minutes of mutable. That would be your Pisces, your Virgo, your Gemini, and your Sagittarius. Okay, so it is hitting major chunks of the population on a direct level whenever it hits the Aries point. But it's also nice because if you don't have a very strong Aries point in your natal chart, you can pick up a newspaper and still this information that I'm going to be parting to you today, I should say, will make sense to you, okay? Okay, so these points, the sun and moon, do not hit. However, mathematically, when you put them with that 14 degree of Pisces mutable point, from across the dial, they meet at the Aries point. So it brings the sun and the moon into the Aries point. Okay, so that's our hours and our days. Okay, the sun represents I am and the moon represents I feel. Okay, which is why new moons are so important. So then we pull in this other planet, Neptune. And Neptune stands for a lot of things. Neptune is disillusionment. Neptune is lack of clarity. Neptune is uncertainty. It has a lot of intangible quality to it, which also makes it spiritual, which also makes those of us who are very affected by a strong Neptune, compassionate and sympathetic. But the problem is that because deception comes with it, one of the things I tell people who are going through a strong Neptune transit is you want to be very careful that if you're going to be sympathetic and you're going to be compassionate, that you are doing it for people who are worthy, okay? Because deception is a big factor in Neptune because of the lack of clarity. Okay, so let's begin. What does this mean in our world picture. If Neptune and the sun have gotten together under the Aries point, it means that we're going to be seeing things in the press that could question where we are, what our direction is, and where we're going with all of it. Who am I? Who are we as a people? Okay, because you may see that as I don't like talking about it a lot, but in politics, for example, we're in a very strong Neptune Sun Moon period with the government being shut down. We don't really know when it's going to go back. We don't know what this is going to mean. And we do know that this creates a lot of uncertainty. Okay, one of the things that it does talk about here is hypersensitivity. Hypersensitivity is really important in this because not only are we hypersensitive about what's happening to I am, but we're also going to be hypersensitive on an emotional level. So we're going to be like down in the muck and the mire, and it's going to feel very insecure and very unstable. And it's going to leave a lot of question with that. Okay, so you're looking at a scenario here where people can feel victimized, where people are so sensitive that they might be feeling that all of this stuff is happening to them, but in the end, they might could find out that they're ill. Okay, because when a lot of times we're really hypersensitive, it is at the onset of an illness. So illness is also associated with Neptune. Okay. So being impractical is another way that this can manifest. So you've got a Sun Neptune. It's not only days of uncertainty, but it's also days of impracticality. A lot of times when we're worried about what's going to happen, where are we going to go from here, we have to also think about, is that next step practical? Is that a practical application of energy? Okay. When the sun's with Neptune, not really. Okay. A lot of times we are looking at things that are very, very impractical. Okay. And, here again, hate to deal with politics, but one of the fights or the arguments against the wall, which, by the way, is the security for some people who have fear issues, okay? Because now we have the moon Neptune, like, I am fearful, okay? And we're going to be taken advantage of. But then you also have, how practical is it? Okay, that's a huge question mark. Okay, so wow, I hate bringing politics into this, but how do I get around it? Okay, because it so perfectly describes what's going on in this continuous planetary configuration. Okay, and it's only 2 days away, and we all know that we're in the thick of this. Okay, so what? Here we are, this insecurity, this uncertainty, this vulnerability, this disillusionment, disenchantment. Okay, these are all these things are going on, and we all know this because we're feeling it on many levels. Okay, so some of us directly related to things that are going on in our personal life, and then still the whole world stage. As I said, there's no way to leave politics out of it today. The other thing is that I really want to talk about not just the bad side of all of this, because if Neptune's in this mix, there's also a level of spirituality here. There's a level of compassion. There's a level of sympathy. There's a level of wanting to do the right thing because spiritually it's the right thing. Okay, so it is also a time when things get rough, and this is for any time. I was alive in 1968. I was very young, but it was a really tumultuous time in history. I remember that much about it. And it left an impression on me. Of course, I was at the age where these things would leave an impression on me. And one of the things that came out of it was this strong sense of spirituality. And we're due. We are due for another spiritual uprising. And the beauty of Neptune in this sun-moon mix is that it breaks down the ego, okay, which I do hope happens in a big public way, that the ego can a little bit dissolve, okay, because the ego, whether it's our own ego or we're complying to someone else's ego, the ego, in my opinion, is the devil. Okay, and it is the thing that breaks our hearts. What happens in life is always a lesson. But if you're getting your heart broken, then somewhere there was an expectation, somewhere the ego was involved. And the beauty of now is that we can break down that ego a little bit. We can let it dissolve and subside. We also have the ability to be more spiritual. And I think that this could be the beginning, hopefully, of a more spiritual energy that can take over while we are dealing with such uncertain times, when we are dealing with the fact that many people feel victimized. And I think that is, part of why. It's because we have to come to these places every now and then to grow, to evolve, to develop as people, and create a better humanity. And so we're in one of those periods, and instead of being all up in everyone's face about deception and very concerned that, oh, we're getting ripped off, I think that maybe what we should do is be more compassionate and show more sympathy and have a sense of spirit about us. It's not about getting religious. No. It's about the deeper sense of spirituality, the thing that makes us human. In any event, happy new moon. I'll be talking to you.